Corruption has become a part of our daily lives, and the youth funds created by the government are a very important avenue for this. So that if you have youth funds created to help the youth, and in those funds you have corruption inbuilt because of the way the funds are structured, you're then training youth, training us as a society to be corrupt. So we said if we look at youth, look at the funds, and look at the issue of corruption, that will allow us to begin to contribute positively to our society, because as an institution, that's what TISA does.
These funds you're talking about are aimed at improving the chances of entrepreneurs. And it's assumed that we can create jobs by helping people identify businesses that they can run, and that one of the challenges is getting access to finance.
From March to September 2016, the Institute for Social Accountability, TISA, implemented the Jipeshughuli campaign in partnership with the youth population in the following areas: Embakasi South Sub-County in collaboration with the local youth group, Kisumu Central Sub-County in collaboration with Maseno University students, and Ruiru Sub-County in collaboration with Kenyatta University students. The study tested issues of transparency, accountability, and public participation in light of the experience of the youth, as well as women and persons with disabilities in accessing the public empowerment initiatives, namely Uwezo Fund, Women Enterprise Fund, Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and the 30% access to government procurement towards making policy recommendations for the improvement of the fund.
So Jipeshughuli really is a youth funds monitoring exercise where the youth themselves are trained, equipped to monitor key funds that are designed to assist the youth. And the aim of the exercise is to empower youth to ask questions about their governance, empower youth to demand accountable governance, empower youth to exercise accountable governance. And in that way, we believe we will begin to transform the country and to build a culture that is not tolerant of corruption, but a culture that is built on good governance.
Ghetto Radio 89.5.
Yeah, that's right, big time. Ghetto Radio 89.5. Kuna need kubwa sana ya kuangalia design ya implementation ya Youth Fund na Uwezo Fund, na ndo maana tuko na Youth Fund. Mtu wa Uwezo Fund amefika ndani ya studio. Swali yoyote ni do ngapi zimekuwa disbursed directly na how much imeshatolewa?
Uwezo ilianzishwa kwa madhumuni ya vijana. Lakini tumepata ya kwamba akina mama wamechukua 60% ya ile pesa ambayo imekuwa ya Uwezo Fund, ambayo tumeweza ku release 5.3 billion. Lakini vikundi wameweza ku access 5.1 billion.
To date, we've been able to do 11.7 billion Kenya shillings, which we have disbursed to young people. And the total number of beneficiaries, be they member of groups, owners of companies, is about 850,000.
My name is Alice Soirimo. I'm a dog breeder, and I started this business like 10 years ago. Youth Fund funded me 3 years back. It was so easy. The requirements were just a photocopy of my ID and I think a PIN, very few documents. You're given like 6 months and then you start paying after a period of time. And I'm happy now I'm doing the dog business fully funded by the Youth Fund.
It took so long and we had made the requirements. So I was expecting like 1 week we were good to go. But it took like 3 months to get the fund. One area of concern is access to information or the awareness of that fund needs to be enhanced, because not everyone knows about the fund, or rather the process of how the fund is applied.
The assumption that every single person has access to a cyber cafe to download the forms, it's not possible. So maybe even they can even take the forms to the nearest police station. There's a police station everywhere, it's true. So I go to the police station, pick the forms for free, read those forms, and make them accessible in other languages. The idea that you have to read them in English shows that it's a very elite fund.
Wanadu nini to make sure that ule mama mashinani amewakilishwa. The elite woman thinks that she's speaking for my peasant mother down there in the village. Yeah. While my peasant mother is also part of Women Enterprise Fund.
Women Enterprise Fund is an empowerment fund, basically to address the inequalities in the societies, especially women. In total, since inception, we have disbursed 8.9 billion.
The study revealed the dominant culture of apathy, indifference and tolerance of corruption towards a mindset of active youth caring for and engaged in governance.
Tulikuwa tumeapply pesa ya tuseme tuliapply tu kidogo 50,000 na tukakosa kupata. Alikuwa anataka kupoka kitu kidogo hapo kwa hapo ndo sasa hiyo pesa itoke. Alikuwa anataka 5.
AGPO radio halo.
Hello, DJ Bling.
Ni aje?
Poa.
Nabongana nani?
Nabongana Matoni wa Kayole. Hao kiwa at top management level. Hakuna kitu anaweza jua. Huko chini hata nikwambia venye kunaenda Bling.
Aha.
Sisi tulikuwa na group.
Aha.
Kwenda kuitisha hiyo do.
Aha.
Too much paperwork. Alafu at each level of mali unaenda kusaini hizo document. Kila level kuna do wanaitisha. Kuna corruption, kuna hongo tu wanadai.
Aha.
Leo ndio situation iko hata wapiane namba hapo ama nini. Hiyo ni kitu itawaisha.
Do not be afraid to expose corruption. Be on the right side of history. Talk about it. Say it. Shout about it, because if you do not shout about it, you're endorsing it.
The power to ask questions is vested on you knowing where your funds are being applied, how they are being applied. It's also vested on knowing who is responsible, being able to challenge the process.
The study revealed the funds application and disbursement process are not transparent, accountable, and do not create public participation opportunities in order to include the views of the target beneficiaries in the design of the products.
So we found where sensitization is reasonably there, once that happens, the process closes down and the youth are at the mercy of whoever is giving that money. So if the person giving the money then decides to ask for a kickback, that youth has no complaints mechanism, has no access to information. Really, they are disempowered.
In 2013, the government amended the public procurement rules to allow 30% of contracts to be given to the youth, women and persons with disability without competition from established firms.
How many of us applied for this animal called AGPO? What is the experience like? Chill us.
Tenders in government, when it's AGPO or not, there has to be some past human face in it. You have to know somebody, and at a certain level you may be required to even buy a cup of tea with milk.
It's 10% actually.
10%?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to factor it in the cost. Even if you don't do, someone will do.
Our country is in debt. And as young people, we are mortgaging our futures by not having values. The politicians may not have values. But let us fight back to have those values.
Try to knock some doors asking for money with the LPO. But they are not willing, especially when you don't have the collateral. County tenders, the bank don't fund, the youth don't fund because the payment take too long.
They take 3 months to pay, over 3 months to pay sometimes. And the funder give you a grace period of 3 months, after which the loan starts subtracting interest. This will eat into your profits. Although there was an executive order from the president that we should pay them within 14 days. It doesn't happen like that.
Government procurement is really not productive business. Supplying government, it doesn't really add value to the economy. Because you put a tender out there for people to buy stationery, so they go and buy from one person and deliver. The skills that you're asking young people to acquire, what you need to be good at to be able to be winning government businesses, is working a bureaucracy and paying bribes.
The success cases for similar funds have the element of training, giving credit, and giving business mentorship. I doubt if we have business mentorship in any of these funds.
The fund stays for a very long time, even you forget about it only to be called later for a small training, which was not very nice because so some of us we had not done business before. So we needed training to be told how to manage the funds.
They are not also involved in the design of the funds to say that the way you're giving us this money, we need more support in terms of training.
You're talking about government throwing up a lot of money on youth to start new enterprises, But when I go around our towns and cities, I see lots of enterprises, manufacturing enterprises, Juakali people operating in very bad environment. They don't have infrastructure. They don't even have toilets. Yeah, they're on the roadsides, without any infrastructure. So the question is these enterprises they are out there. They've got a market. If they get the enabling environment and a couple of things, those enterprises will create jobs and economic growth. But trying to take government money and taking school leavers and throwing money at school leavers and saying this is how you're going to create economic growth and employment, I think that is fairly obvious that that's a dud. You're looking at the scale. What scale of intervention would you need to actually have an impact on employment and economic growth? I don't think those funds are of that scale.
The demand for our services far outstrips the resource base that we have.
Going forward, I would say anything we'll say about these funds will be hearsay. It is not based on any information that is received from rigorous evaluation of impact.
The Constitution allows the creation of funds. Funds are supposed to be created for a special need that cannot be met within the mainstream budget. When you look at these funds, this is not the case. The funds are being motivated by political interest. The Women's Fund have their fund. There are other funds that have been created around electoral moments. And then the government is left thinking, okay, now that the election is passed, we still have the fund. What to do with it? The design of the youth is reinforcing disempowerment, is reinforcing impunity, is reinforcing you do not ask questions. And then we'll wonder why youth become corrupt. It's because we are training them in the way we design our systems.